All right, what's going on, guys? It's Shane here with Blacktop Racing, and I am here with Brian Karwan. He's the owner of Carceps and an STR driver, and today we're going to be going over the rules and stuff for 2015 STR class. Now, the STR class is mainly your roadsters. Right now, we're sitting next to his car, which is a S2000. What year S2000 is this?
This one's a 04.
04?
S2000, yep.
Okay, cool. Well, as far as for STR is a Street Touring Roadster. And looking over all the rules, there are no turbocharged cars allowed at all. They want to keep the spirit of, you know, that whole NA thing. So your top dogs have been the S2000. There's a slew of them there. It almost seems like a S2000 meet. You have the Miatas. They took out the 350Z, which Brian Peters won, I think, 2 years ago, but they have now the 370Z, which is a little heavier than the 350Z, but nobody's really built it out. It's a little bit more expensive, so give it some time until that actually builds out. But we do have a list of cars here that I decided just to kind of pull out, and you know, I'll kind of go over them with you. On your copy, I kind of highlighted some of the cars that are going to be interesting, but are they really going to be competitive? Because the top dog, as I said, is the S2000, which last year was won by Nicholas Barbado, and he was in a CR model. What's the difference between, so we had an AP1, AP2, what's special about the CR?
CR, it has the same exact engine, the whole internals. It has slight differences on maybe the intake manifold. Well, I'm sorry, 06. Okay, there's two versions of the AP2. They call like V1 and V2.
Okay.
So this one is a 04. 04 to 05 was the V1 AP2. It's drive-by cable, and then because of that, it has differences on throttle body and intake manifold. They're so minute, but the head, the whole motor, the block, the long block is the same as all the way to 2009.
Okay.
Engine's the same, and transmission, all the gearing is the same. So drivetrain completely, pretty much the same.
Okay.
Then the CR, I think they say it's has additional bracing inside to make it a little more rigid.
Oh, okay.
And then you have just the aero that it has.
Yeah.
And then it has a hard top, which you remove, and then you don't have the convertible top weight. But I found, just by weighing all the cars, I think the convertible top weight is about the same as like the wing and the
the aero,
front lip, the aero, and that the AP2 CR has. So
gotcha. Okay.
For STR trim, I think you could do any year and be competitive.
So
it's
you
not
don't
going to
think
hold you
you have to have a CR or
No,
anything?
they look nice.
They do look nice. They do look nice with the whole aero package and everything. It does look nice. It is a little bit lighter, but as you said, power-wise and handling-wise, it's all going to be there. It's just you are saving a little bit of weight. So in STR, we'll go over a lot of detail in the cars, but what's some of the modifications for the newbies out there? Say I want to go in STR, and let's use the example of S2000. Say I picked up a 2004 S2000. What's some of the things that you would start with and that you can actually do in a class?
Okay, well, number one, like if you're looking best bang for the buck, the wheels and tires. Running a square, everybody runs a pretty much 255.
Oh, okay.
Front and rear.
Is that the max tire you can go in STR?
Yeah, that's the max.
Okay.
In STR on a 9-inch wide is the max wheel width.
Okay.
So basically putting up the 255 up front is going to give you a lot more grip and the most competitive street tire at the time. That's going to gain you tons of time over whatever was on the car OEM.
Gotcha.
So that's probably the biggest gain in time if you're starting. And then from there, with this car, there's a lot of roll on these, and especially when you add a lot of front tire, these cars steer like crazy. I'm always trying to dial steering out of it.
Okay.
I kind of like a car that's a little pushier.
Okay.
So, and it has a really quick steering rack. So the next thing to help tame those characteristics down would be a large front sway bar.
Okay, so start off with a tire and rim package, so you can go with the square setup 245, and then go with a front bar. And I know that you also develop a front bar, so we'll go over that a little bit more later. But starting off, you would recommend tires, rims, front bar. What about suspension?
Well, yeah, suspension, of course.
Suspension.
Yeah, I guess it depends what your budget is limited to. But if you're going, to STR, you're going to want suspension. You know, if you're just talking, wheels, tires, bar, you can stay in the street class. But yeah, full STR, it's kind of for those who want to tinker a little. If you can change to the suspension, front and rear, whatever you want, single adjustable, double with remote reservoir. You can change any spring rate you want. So then you can change the characteristics of the car to what suits your driving style.
Okay, so let's see about power here. So we just went over suspension. You can do your tires, sway bars, front, rear, full coilovers. You can do camber adjustment plates and everything. This is double wishbone, so you don't have the McPherson strut stuff, but you still have adjustments, right? As far as
the rear of the car, you can get crazy camber and tow. You can get anything you want. You can get over 3 degrees. The front of these cars, you just need a front camber kit, and because it's about limited to around 2 degrees. Most of the STR guys were over 3 degrees, a tick over 3.
Nice.
So you need a front camera kit. They're pretty inexpensive. They're like $150, $160.
Okay.
So,
nice. So that covers most of the suspension stuff. And so when it comes to power, what can I do for power? You know, I as a newbie, I came in, I got my tires.
Yep.
All right, feels good. Got some of my suspension parts. All right, now it's dialed in. I'm feeling good, but I pull up next to you and it's what can I do in order to, try and get some of the power advantages out of any STR car? What's some of the things that you can do there?
Well, everybody will go with intake. You can go intake, header, high flow cat, exhaust for the bolt-ons. So anything up to the throttle body is free on the intake side, and then basically coming off the head is free. Well, you still need a catalytic converter of some type, right? You can't have a test pipe, but and that is what most people will do. I would tell people if they could, the most important thing is really the tuning. All of the cars they're kind of detuned from the factory, especially here we can get 93 octane.
Oh yeah.
So the cars are tuned for lower, at least safely. Like this car, they do say you need premium, but in California they have 91. So they tune the cars conservatively. And then, well, with Hondas, you have the whole VTEC, so you can optimize the whole VTEC engagement point to make pretty much give you more torque on the bottom end. So a tuning package will actually yield you more. You could run a car tuned with bone stock intake, header, exhaust, and this car actually does better with tuning software first versus all those bolt-ons.
Gotcha.
But if to maximize it all, you would get the whole intake,
you get the
right?
whole thing.
And then but then again, you need to tune the car for the bolt-ons. So if you don't want to pay for 2 dyno days, but if it's not in the budget for a year or two, I guess it depends.
Yeah, it all depends on the money and how much you want to spend at the time.
STR cars in full prep, everybody you have the intake, header, high flow cat, exhaust, and a tune to make use of those
to maximize all the components. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, it's good to know that the S2000s are so good out the factory as far as, when it comes to power, they are limited, but coming out the factory, they handle really well. So adding all these parts only just make the car a little bit better. So and that pretty much covers a lot of the performance parts of it as far as suspension, tires, and power. So as far as interior, I see that your interior is pretty much stock.
It's bone stock.
Can you switch out the seats, or what can you do with, in STR?
Yeah, you can. The seat and all the hardware, the mounting brackets, and I think the harnesses all together have to weigh 25 pounds. When I got the car, I think I took the seats out. They were around 35 pounds with the rails, and they're comfortable to me. I don't know if it's worth it. I just don't think, like, yeah, if I save 20 pounds, that's not going to make the difference between winning and losing.
Right, that's true. That's true.
Right, you make plenty of little mistakes on course that would, like, you got to clean up to before.
Yeah, that 20 pounds isn't going to be that much of a difference. And if it's comfortable, it's comfortable. It's a personal choice. Nobody says that you have to go in and change every single thing about the car. Now, a lot of the top guys, they're doing all that stuff, but it's up to you whether you want to change the interior. So let's go over some of the cars. We've been talking a lot about the S2000s, whether it's AP1 or 2. But what we're going to do now is just kind of go over the list. So in the 2015 SCCA National Solo Rules on page 179, it gives you actually the list of cars. This is a very small list of cars when it comes to ST. The only other list that's smaller is going to be STU. The reason being why STR is so small, again, is because they want to keep it with the rear-wheel drive cars and roadsters. You know, so they want to make it nice, grassroots, NA. So that list becomes pretty darn small. So we're going to start from the top and kind of work our way down. So you have your BMW M Roadsters. This is from 1998 to 2002. So these cars came with 240 horsepower and they weighed around 3,100 pounds. So it has about the same power as this, but approximately how much does this weigh stock?
Stock? That's a good question. I think they're around maybe 2,800, 2,850 or so.
Okay, so already the BMW is giving up, you know, around 200-300 pounds off the brake. So that's why a lot of people kind of go with these guys. And also suspension. This has a double wishbone.
I think they're strut on the front.
Yeah, strut on the front and multi-link for the BMWs. So, you know, you kind of weigh it out now. It does have more torque. The M motor does have more torque.
Right.
But
it is an inline 6, right?
Yes, the inline 6, the one from the E36 M3, which that is actually an STU. So, you know, the motor can do the business. The car should be able to do it. But nobody has really tested it out. That'll be very interesting to see if you can drop some of the weight out of the M and do it there.
Yeah, I think BMWs are known for pretty heavy seats. So that's a car you might want to do that versus this.
Yeah.
Like I have an E36 M3 and I think the seats are like 80, 90 pounds a piece.
Yeah, because of all the luxury features.
Yeah, right. So I'm not sure about the M's and the Z's or whatnot, but.
Yeah, I mean, but there's some weight that you can cut out of those cars. That'll be interesting to see if anybody builds. Going down the line, we got the Z3 and the Z4. These are all the 6 cylinders, non-turbo, non-M's on those models. Those are the newer ones. But last time I checked, and they're pretty heavy. That's the only downside to it. I mean, they have around the same power as far as 240, but they're little hefty boys. Going down, we got the Datsuns, my goodness, taking it back. So you got the 240s, the 260s, 280s, and 280 ZX, which are the non-turbo models. So again, they're trying to keep it all NA. So nobody's really developed one of those yet, but it'll be interesting, I guess. Obviously, the next car down in alphabetical order is going to be the S2000, which has been top dog so far for the most part. Now, you have another rival in here, which is a little bit smaller, doesn't have as much horsepower, has more torque, and it's also a car that I drive, being in the Mazda Miata. So you're
a lot less weight too.
A lot less weight. They're about 20, high 23s, 24s. They're about 100.
In full prep.
In full prep, they're just under 23.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
just under 24. I'm sorry.
Like I was saying, the stock weight on this. Maybe I misquoted on stock weight, but these in full prep are around. Was it mid 26?
Mid 26.
So around 20. Yeah, low.
Yeah.
I guess full national prep when they go crazy with
with everything.
Seats and brakes and everything. If you want to spend enough money, I know cars were down to like 2580 or so.
And then a fully prepped, if you in Miata NC, if you go 5-speed or a little bit lighter, so guys were down into the 23s. And then I know with our car, it's with James Dunham's car, it's around 24 with his current prep, but it can get into the high 23s. So it is a little bit lighter. We're looking at about 150 to 200 pounds depending on trim model there. And one thing about the Miatas is that it's a little bit smaller too, and it can also fit the 255s. Now you do have to roll the fenders on the Miatas here. I
Roll. You're not allowed to roll in STR trim,
Are
buddy.
you?
No, you're.
I was about to say what?
Well, you aren't allowed to roll the fender, but you're
You
allowed to bend up the lip.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, so you can't.
I'll have to check out your
it
car
out.
next time.
So you can't,
No, I know you
can't-
guys. Yeah, you guys just have to roll the lip.
Yeah. So you can't pull
Or
it out to try
bend
to
the
get
lip.
that clearance.
Yeah.
But you can bend. There's a little piece of metal just under here that you can actually just kind of roll that up and be good to go. But the Miata, in the very first year, it was kind of the what was it? The test year of STR. Ken Modenishi actually won in a Miata, but ever since then it's been S2000. Whether it was Lou God that won last year, then it was Nick Barbado last year, Brian Peters in the 350, which is now moved, and I forget the others. Sorry about that. Didn't do all my homework on that one, but so S2000 has kind of been that top dog. It's been a few combo breakers. And one of the combo breakers is also local here. I'm going to skip over some of the other cars, but we're going to jump down to the Toyota MR2. So we got a good driver in it, Christopher Lynn.
Yep.
And Christopher Lynn, for those that don't know, is actually in the GT Academy. That's the PlayStation, Gran Turismo. And he was actually one of the guys that was able to go over to Europe and actually do this competition. So he's a really good driver, and that car kind of suits him. I mean, that car, stock, it weighs 2,200 pounds stock. I think he's got it down to like either 21 or 2,100 or something like that.
Yeah,
Probably
it's pretty
lower.
low.
And the car, it isn't big on horsepower. It has a 1.8 liter, but it's 138 stock. So, but the downside to the MR2s is that there wasn't very much support when it comes to a lot of aftermarket parts. So he's still dialing in that car.
Yeah,
but
he still has. I think he still has more to go. He can make it better. I don't even think he has much on as far as tuning. So yeah, he's getting it. We'll see.
He's getting it each
yep.
year. He's had it for 2-3 years and 2 years now. And each event, he's just chipping away, getting
He makes
up
us sweat at the locals, right? So, yep.
And locally, we race at FedEx, and there's a lot of uphills, so that's a disadvantage for him. But when it comes to the flatlands, depending on the course, we'll see how that goes. Other Mazdas, going back up to the list, so we talked about the NC Miatas. Those are the 2006 up to current 2015. In 2016, there's going to be a new ND chassis that's going to be coming out, and it's unknown where that's going to be classed yet. A lot of people think it may be an STR, but we'll see what happens. Other Mazdas is not a FD chassis, but the FC RX-7s are allowed in STR, but in non-turbo. So I checked those out. You can bring those in. Would they be competitive? Because weight-wise, they're not bad. They're 25, 50, coming out of stock. But McPherson strut in the front. They're limited on horsepower. I think it was like 167 horsepower. Yeah, you can probably get some out. I think John Vidham Voss built one for STS.
Right.
Yeah. He sold that car, but for STS it was kind of tough. And STR is supposed to be faster than STS, so that's where that lands. So we got the 370Z, non-NISMO. You can't get the NISMO package because that actually has a different engine. 350 horsepower is what it's rated at, so you can't get that guy. The Pontiac Fiero. What? You can get the Fiero V6. Nobody's ever gonna build that.
Nobody's gonna do that.
But there is one car which I am actually surprised that I haven't seen, is the Solstice.
Yeah.
The Solstice ZOK package is allowed, just like the Miata MSR package is allowed. The ZOK package was, and along with the MSR for Miata, they were actually built to go against each other in club sports and road racing. So it had added bracing is mainly what it was. Lighter weight, added bracing, and minimal. You know, it was mainly just allowed on the base car. The ZLK, you can have no AC. So although the weight says 2,800, I believe it's a little bit less. And Eric Kumpermeyer has one, but if there's parts out there, that'd be pretty interesting to see how it'll go. It's kind of a mix between the S2000 as far as size and the Miata as far as, you know, power. So it'll be interesting. Nobody's built one though. Sorry, GM, you cut off Pontiac at the wrong time. Porsche. As much as we want to see a Porsche in here, I'm sad to say this list is just pathetic.
Yeah.
There's no Boxster, there's no Cayman, there's nothing modern in here right now. So sorry, folks that has a Boxster, whether it's the first gen or it's second gen. You know, you're not allowed, whether it's an S or not. It's just not on the list. So if you want to bring your Boxster in to come and play, just go ahead and write a letter to the SCB. Build a car. They actually don't mind you building the car to bring it in, from what I've heard.
I didn't know those weren't in this class. Where would they be for street touring?
Unfortunately, there isn't any classing for them. Even an STU, on the STU side, actually doesn't even have Porsche at all. So, but what has been spoken about is that you can possibly build a car, race it, and it'll be one of those situations like, okay, how competitive it is. Yeah,
somewhere,
see where its paces are, but nobody's really built it yet. So come on, Porsche guys, build those things up. And then the last car, which is kind of like the Solstice, is the Saturn Sky. That one was a little bit more luxury, so it's heavier, same everything as the Solstice, but it was just a little heavier and I believe a little bit more numb when it came to performance-wise. So, I mean, that kind of wraps up the list. That's it. I mean, no turbos allowed. A lot of cars are fun. They're all rear-wheel drive cars. I didn't see any all-wheel drive cars. If you somehow found one of these models in all-wheel drive, you are limited to 225 when it comes to tires versus the 255.
Well, I saw that they have the rule for you're limited to a 225 tire,
Yeah.
but yet they don't have a all-wheel drive car on the list.
car in the lineup. So it is what it is. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up a lot of stuff with STR. It's you know, it's one of those classes where it's a little bit smaller, but man, is the talent pool just crazy. I mean, this year's 2015 in New Jersey, we had DJ Dixon, jeez, which has won SSR in a Porsche GT3 3 times in a row. You were right behind him, nipping at his heels. And then from there, the gap just broadened. So, I mean...
Yeah, we had, what, 27, 28 entries?
Yeah, at a New Jersey Pro. And then down in Spring Nats right now, there's a good amount of drivers out there. And then it's just going to pick up and pick up. So, it may be all about the S2000s right now.
I don't know.
But, we'll see.
You showed the NC Miata had speed at Nats last year before your car broke.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. We'll see what happens.
I think the S2000s just look a little better. That's why more people have them.
They do look better. They sound better. Yeah.
I think the Miata can definitely get the job done.
Yeah, we'll see. But there is a little bit of difference with the Miatas. There is 2 different years of the NCs. There's a pre-09 and from 09 up, which actually has a little bit different motor. Everything else is the same. It may be a little bit heavier, so they may have changed some things internally as far as bracing, who knows. But it's a little heavier, and it can rev, you know, at stock, I think it's 7,400. So people are bumping that up to like, you know, 7,800 RPM, 8,000. And it gives you that, you know, that advantage in miles per hour and as far as that mechanical gearing. So we'll see. We'll see. We're limited. But, yeah. So, since you're owner of Concepts, let's talk a little bit about what you've done with this car. You have this special bar, I hear.
It's not that I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to develop a bar that tailored more for autocrossers. You only have a few minutes in between runs. So we designed a sway bar that you can make an adjustment to it when the car's on the ground at rest in paddock, that you can perform, within, if you need some familiarity with the product, but once you get that, you can make a sway bar adjustment within 2 minutes. So it's a bigger front bar, which these cars really like, help tame it down for the driver, make it a little easier to drive. And then it's a 6-position adjustment. So you have a huge range. And then on top of that, there's different center sections that affect the overall stiffness, which then shifts the range up or down. So there's tons of adjustment with the front bar as that's concerned. We also developed a rear bar for this car, which is 7-position adjustable, just released. And we might pick up an ND Miata and do similar thing. Yep, looking towards that in the future.
Okay, cool. So, Brian started and is the owner of Carceps. He's actually SMF champion. What year was this?
What was it, 2010 and 11? Well, so, provisional champion. It wasn't a class at the time.
Yeah.
So not national champion. I won the class.
Yes.
But they were just waiting on the numbers. We didn't really have a lot of people. It wasn't as competitive as STR
is.
Yep.
And so at SMF, he won the class 2 years, and then that car is actually in the back, which we'll probably give a little glimpse at it. It's now hibernating.
Yeah, I just can't get rid of it, but
Indeed.
Still more desire to drive the rear-wheel drive. It's just a lot more fun.
Indeed, indeed. All right, Brian, so thanks a lot.
Yep.
Thanks for the interview, guys. Check out the rule book. I'll put all the links down below as far as all the places to reference. So check out Carceps. What's the website?
It's carceps.com.
All right, so check that out for some of the goodies that he has for the S2000s. And check out blacktop racing.ninja for more videos.